Hi, this is Wendy at Chick-a-Woof Ranch, and we wanted to make yet another video on our Livestock Guardian series. This is, I believe, the 10th video in our series, and in this one we're going to address the issue of barking. So this is our newest girl, Cheyenne, that you might have seen in some other videos. She's about 10 months old now, going on 11 months, and she's in training. I also have my notes sitting here that I'm going to be referring to so that I can kind of stay on track. Because we're talking about barking. And livestock guardian dogs, at least our livestock guardian dogs, do bark, and they can bark a lot. She is half Great Pyrenees and half Akbash. The Akbash is a Turkish breed, and honestly I don't know lots about that breed. I did a little bit of research and knew that I did not want a purebred Akbash, but we have experience with our other livestock guardian dog, Cherokee, who is half Great Pyrenees and half Mastiff. He happened to be a rescue dog, so I don't know if he was intentionally bred that way, but we have found that for our property, 10 acres approximately, that an LGD, which is short for Livestock Guardian, would be a good fit for us and our goats. So onto the barking. They do bark. That comes to them by nature. So if you're thinking of one in city limits, they're usually not recommended for that type of a setting. Not only for the barking, but they really do guard and protect their surroundings. And I don't know what their range is, but we know from experience that when we didn't have ours fenced in, that they would go for a mile or a couple of miles. So not saying that they can't be a city dog, but typically they're not fit for being city dogs. So as LGD owners, we have noticed that there are 3 types of barking that go on our farm. These are names that we've come up with, not professional by any means, just our experience, and so we've kind of labeled them. The first is the proactive barking. The second is the cover barking, and third is chasing off barking, the reactive barking. So going back to the first one, the proactive barking, that's the kind of thing that we noticed that they might be, they're on duty. A lot of this happens during the day where they are just barking and letting you know that they're here. Anything potential that might come traipsing through, or if the wind's blowing and he's picking up sounds, they or he, Cherokee, might do this a lot, laying down even. He's not necessarily patrolling, but some of that could be happening as nightfall starts to go down, and they'll start patrolling the outer limits and just kind of letting off a bark every now and then. It's just kind of your casual, just you know, here and there, and that's what we've kind of labeled as the proactive. So it's not a nuisance, it's just kind of an occasional, hey, I'm here. The second one is what we've called or labeled the cover barking. This is when, for us, coyotes are kind of the main predator around here for our farm, and that would be for our chickens and our goats. So the cover barking happens when we've got several packs of coyotes all around the perimeter at different sides of the property, and they're calling in packs, answering back and forth. And if they're really pack howling, then Cherokee seems to really chime in and does lots and lots of oh, and his pitch changes, the sound changes. It's a completely different bark, and it appears that he's trying to make himself more than one and let them know I've got this covered and I'm over here. And he's usually pretty active at that time with the cover barking as well. The third is the chasing off barking. This is a reactive type of barking. Once again, different sound. Each one is a different sound, a different pattern, if you will, and he is very actively pursuing. And he would be pursuing the perpetrators if we did not have our property fenced in. He used to do that quite a lot, where he would be gone, which when it was just him, we were concerned that the coyotes are working in packs and calling him out one direction, while the other pack might be planning to come in and enter our property, from a different direction. So the chasing off barking is reactive, and it's a very repetitious bark. It's not a howl at all, but he's answering, and he's letting them know, I'm here and I'm coming after you, even though he can't quite do that with our new setup. Sometimes that we seem to notice they bark less are on calm evenings out here on the farm. We really believe the reason would be is that they can hear everything. It's a lot more clear. Sounds are more easily picked up or detected. So that's kind of the occasional bark that we have, kind of what we were labeling as the proactive barking, just once again, just saying, hey, I'm here, but they can hear a lot better, so they don't seem to bark as much. On windy days or nights, particularly out here, we'll hear a lot more of the barking, and that can still kind of be the proactive barking, where they're letting them know they're here, but I think the wind really detours all the sounds, or kind of muffles it up. It makes it harder. If you've watched some of, with our owl videos, I think about owls, and I know that wind kind of detours them as hunters, because they use their hearing a lot, not just their sight, to pick up things. So same with the dogs. As far as with all the sounds going on, they can't hear with the wind. So you're going to hear more barking on a windy night. Something to consider when you're talking about the livestock guardian dogs, we're talking about the barking. This video is all about barking, and if you're a light sleeper. Our house is a pretty old house. We have lots of old windows in it, and we can hear the barking going on, but if outdoor sounds are bothersome to you, you might have to consider and think about that. And once again, I have to speak from our experience. We have the Great Pyrenees. They are all mixes, but we have the Great Pyrenees in common, and they can be barkers a lot more. It might appear that they do not sleep a lot, and we have gotten the two together in pairs. They are working dogs together. While one may appear to be doing their job and barking, the other one may look like it's taking a snooze. Here's Cheyenne. Here's my big lap girl. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The reason why we have our livestock guardians is to protect everything on our farm that we have. We have the chickens, the ducks, the goats. We have a couple of rabbits, our cats even, and so we want to keep possum, skunk, raccoons, and coyotes off of our property. So the Great Pyrenees mix was a good choice for us, because they like to patrol the outer limits, and they mark their territory and kind of let anything that might be coming onto the property know that, hey, this is my house. Now, our setup is such that they do not live with the goats all the time. We are on a homestead with 10 acres and we have pastures set up with the goats, and we rotate them for parasite control. So they are not actually living with the goats, so it's a different setup for us. They will actually sleep up by the house during the day or even at night, because not only are they guarding the animals, but they know that they are protecting us. So they're also guarding the house, right? So that nothing comes in and gets us. All right, I have my notes here. There's a couple of more things I wanted to address in closing the video. Neighbors. If you're out in the country but you still have nearby neighbors, maybe you're only on 5 acres or in an area where you have houses every 5 acres. Definitely something to consider with choosing an LGD with your neighbors. Not only for how much property you have, is that the right choice? Is 5 acres, enough to be watched after? But you may have to talk to your neighbors to let them know what you're considering and see what their feedback is, because they are barkers. But you can talk up the benefits. Not only will it help your homestead, but it could help theirs too, depending on what their setup is. A lot of the barking seems to happen between nightfall and midnight, very early morning hours. I would say that would happen because, of course, that's when everything becomes active that's nocturnal. Everything that's been sleeping during the day is now coming out and scavenging for a meal, including the skunks that we've been sprayed with a few times out here. So that, might be a consideration. Think about with the neighbors. That's when you're going to start to hear the barking, is at nightfall, but it usually does subside unless there's, some activity that starts happening, and that's what they're here for. So they are bred for the barking. The barking is in their nature, so the last thing you want to do is put a bark collar on these guys. That really would be torture for them, inhumane in my thought process. That's in their instinct, and trying to stop them by means of a bark collar. Bark collars are not all bad. I have used one in the past in a city setting, a different type of dog, but these guys are bred to do their job, and barking is part of their job. So if that's a problem, then maybe consider another breed. We don't have experience with lots of other breeds. Some I can mention. Of course, we have the Great Pyrenees. Cheyenne is half Akbash. The others around here that we notice are Anatolian, Congal, Marima, some other breeds. I don't have any experience with those, but the one thing we did learn about, we just had gone to the Mother Earth News Fair, and you just really need to look at what the needs of your homestead are. We have 10 acres fenced in. Our animals are mostly all fenced in. Our largest predator is a coyote. So these guys are a good fit for us. If your acreage is not fenced in, if you're further north in the states, you might need something a little, quote, nastier, as it was put, if you have larger predators. Maybe you have something as far as even bears or mountain lions that might threaten your stock. So look at all the different breeds that are available, research them, and see what might work for you. And night is falling here, so they're alert, their attention is up, so they're ready to move on and check in and do their job. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. We'll answer the best we can. We are not professionals. We've just owned our dogs for about 5 years. So these are our personal experiences, and that's why we have begun to make videos like this, is just to help others in their research and their thought process and what's going to work for your homestead. So thanks for watching Chick-a-Woof Ranch, and this is Wendy signing off. There, lay down. Down.
Turkey, down. Lay down. Down.
Down. Come on. Yeah. There. Come here.
Oh, what a good boy.
Thank you. Whatever the dum-dums do in the back, just ignore them. I'm over here, and he's usually, you know, pretty active at that time with the cover barking as well. The third we've labeled off as the chasing off barking. Once again, it's a different sound. The third is the chasing off barking. It's what we've labeled the we have a couple of rabbits in the barn, but basically try and keep possum, raccoon,